elect Barack Obama the next president of the United States.
Tonight, Hillary Clinton suspends her campaign and urges Democrats to unite behind Barack Obama. I'm Jeff Glor. Also tonight, as oil prices leap to an all-time high, we'll tell you what's behind the jump and how drivers here and abroad are trying to cope. Big Brown makes his bid for Triple Crown history at today's running of the Belmont Stakes. And remembering broadcasting legend Jim McKay, who anchored some of the most famous moments in sports.
Monte Carlo is the scene of the Grand Prix of Monaco, and there they go.
This is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening. One history-making campaign is over tonight. Another got a big boost. Hillary Clinton suspended her drive for the White House today and threw her support behind Barack Obama. Jim Axelrod is in Washington tonight with the story of the Clinton campaign's final act.
1 year, 4 months, and 18 days after she started her campaign, Hillary Clinton waded through an emotional crowd of supporters to end it.
Well, this isn't exactly the party I'd planned, but I sure like the company.
She had 2 goals today. 1, make clear her support for Barack Obama.
I congratulate him on the victory he has won and the extraordinary race he has run. I endorse him and throw my full support behind him.
And 2, celebrate her own history-making campaign.
When you hear people saying, or think to yourself, if only or what if, I say, please don't go there. Every moment wasted looking back keeps us from moving forward.
But for her supporters, it's impossible not to look back at advisors who made experience her message in a year of change.
Shame on you.
Or the distractions and disruptions created by her husband. Or the misfortune to run into a political phenomenon just as his wave was cresting.
So ultimately, I think she was a good candidate with a bad campaign at the wrong moment.
Time Magazine's Karen Tumulty, who's covered Clinton since she was First Lady, is surprised at just how good a candidate. She says now may be the time for Clinton to cede the spotlight, but the curtain's not down for good.
So as everyone is surveying sort of the end of this candidacy, it's not an obituary in a classic sense.
No, she's still a relatively young woman, and a woman who has found herself in a way that she never had before.
Still, for now, it's someone else's dream Clinton will fight to make reality.
So today, I am standing with Senator Obama to say, yes, we can.
Barack Obama reportedly watched Hillary Clinton's speech on his computer off the internet. On the Obama webpage right now, there is a link to write Hillary Clinton and thank her for her historic campaign. Jeff?
Jim, you've been on this campaign for months. You've been with Hillary Clinton nearly every day now. So a personal reflection tonight. What was the mood like today?
Well, everyone you talk to, advisors, staffers, other reporters, you ask them how they were, they all said the same thing, exhausted. She kept up, Hillary Clinton, a demanding, relentless pace as a campaigner. Sometimes people half her age couldn't keep up with her, but there was always a sense that you were watching real history, and it certainly made it a little easier to keep up.
Jim Axelrod, great work. Thank you, Jim. Although Hillary Clinton's bid for the White House is over, the job of assessing her campaign legacy is just beginning. Nancy Cordes has more on that.
I'm beginning a conversation.
From the beginning, candidate Hillary Clinton faced a unique challenge to show her softer side.
And some people think elections are a game.
And her tougher side.
So shame on you, Barack Obama.
And prove that she could hang with the boys.
All right!
It is the kind of challenge most male candidates are unfamiliar with.
She had to work on being all things to all people, which frankly has been remarkable. There were a lot of preconceived notions, a lot of stereotypes, a lot of expectations that she had to break down and work on.
Today, Clinton described the presidency as the highest, hardest glass ceiling of all.
Thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. And the light is shining through like never before.
On the faces of her women supporters, there was pride but also sorrow, particularly for those who, like her, came of age when gender equality was a slogan, not a given.
It seemed like it was going to be a reality to have a woman president. So that is very heartbreaking.
Throughout her 17-month campaign, Clinton never held a rally without acknowledging both the young daughters hoisted on their parents' shoulders.
See, you can be anything you want to be.
And the 90-year-old women, born before women won the right to vote.
How much did the fact that she was a woman influence your support for her?
None. I just felt that she was the most competent, brilliant person.
And that may be the greatest gift Clinton gave young girls, demonstrating not just how to be a strong female candidate, but a strong candidate, period. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, Washington.
History of a less welcome kind is being made when it comes to gas prices tonight. The national average for a gallon is $3.99 now, and oil stands at almost $139 a barrel after a record one-day jump of nearly $11. We have 3 reports this evening. First, Priya David with a look at what's behind the surging prices.
From Japan today, G8 energy ministers called for oil-producing nations to pump more crude to bring skyrocketing oil prices down. Economists say too little, too late.
G8's nice for them to ask for increased production. It's not going to happen, and it wouldn't help that much anyway.
On Friday, a confluence of a weakening dollar, fear of instability in the Middle East, and speculation drove oil prices up almost $11 to a record $138 a barrel, double what it was this time last year. And there's more investor money in oil trading than at any time in history.
There's a feeling amongst the speculative community that oil is just going to go one way, and that is up for quite a time.
Newton's law remains very much intact. An object in motion stays in motion in that direction until somebody starts losing money.
But the surge in oil prices is devastating some American industries. In the airline industry, 4,000 employees lost their jobs with United and Continental this week. In the auto industry, General Motors announced the shutdown of 4 light truck and SUV factories. Thousands are expected to lose their jobs. And consumers feel the pinch every day.
You're seeing food prices going up because the cost of energy that goes into producing food and transporting the food from the farm to the factory to the supermarket is going up dramatically.
And if you think what you pay at the pump is pricey now, just wait. This gasoline comes from oil when it was 90 bucks a barrel. Now that oil is almost $140 a barrel, economists say you can expect to see gas top $6 a gallon. And that's in the next few months. Priya David, CBS News, New York.
This is Michelle Miller in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. Hybrids used to be luxury items designed to save the environment. But now, $4 a gallon gas is driving the desire to save cash. Driving school owner Louis Leonhardt travels 1,100 miles a week. He was desperate to get better gas mileage.
Well, the Honda Civic I was spending on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, $550 a month. With this, it's cutting it down in half.
He bought his Prius from this Toyota dealership 3 weeks ago. Around the same time, sales manager Bob Pelahia noticed a huge surge.
We went from 6 in stock going into the month. 30 days later, we have an order for 15.
A Toyota Prius runs about $3,400 more than similar-sized vehicles. With gas prices at $3 a gallon, it used to take more than 4 years before owners could recoup their money. Now, with gas hovering near $4, the amount of time has been nearly cut in half. That's one reason why hybrid sales have skyrocketed. 8 years ago, fewer than 10,000 were sold. Last year, that number climbed to 330,000.
For automakers trying to stay afloat, selling green has become a matter of survival. Monthly sales are down to a 15-year low. U.S. car makers taking the biggest hit.
The big 3 automakers saw their sales drop by as much as 28% in May. Toyota, dragged down by its big truck models, lost more than 4% in sales. Only Honda enjoyed a sales increase, driven by the popularity of its hybrids. In the hottest hybrid markets like California, dealers are reporting some customers are treating them like real estate, flipping them right out of the showroom for a $6,000 profit.
I've heard that people are trying to sell them for more than they bought them for, but most people want the car.
And dealers hope that trend continues. Michelle Miller, CBS News, Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey.
This is Elizabeth Palmer in London. Some tempers in Europe ran as high as the price of oil this week as Belgian fishermen clashed with riot police in a protest against the soaring cost of fuel. In France, truckers and taxi drivers formed convoys to show their anger. And in England, 1,000 motorcyclists clogged the highways around Manchester.
Because they're sick and tired of paying too much fuel prices.
A gallon of gasoline in Britain this weekend costs between $9 and $10. That's up 30% this year alone. And of that total, 75% is tax. Outrageous, maybe by American standards, but most consumers here didn't join any of the protests. They simply grit their teeth and paid up. The fact is, fuel prices in Europe have been high for years, and people are used to them. Each increase also impacts drivers less because their cars tend to be smaller and the distances they drive are shorter. Still, the record prices are forcing adjustments on everyone.
Two, as usual, please.
Farmer James Tanner used to drive his produce to market in 2 vans. Now he crams it all into one.
Just any way we can save money, we'll try and do it.
In London, cab drivers say they prefer to sit on the stand rather than cruising around looking for fares now. And is it any comfort that their counterparts in America are feeling the fuel bite too?
Well, I think you guys are catching on to how we've had it for the last 10 years. You're starting to realise now how we've feeling. You're welcome to the party.
A party no one asked to attend. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a new approach to making classwork click with students. And when we come back, a stunning result for Big Brown at the Belmont.
I am acknowledging. Can you not hear me? I'm speaking. Thumbs up. I'm nodding my head. Hello? They can't hear me. Audio can't hear me. Okay, who is that? Pat, is that you? Pat, I can hear you. Yes, I've got you. Lost the call. Whoever was. He had no horse.
Hey, Debbie.
So he pulled him up. Yes.
Hey, Debbie, it's Jeff in New York. Manhattan,
Hey,
I should
how
say.
are you?
How we doing?
Doing good.
I know it's
standing
crazy.
by and waiting.
Yeah, I know it's crazed out there.
30. Okay.
Okay. Shock and stunning disappointment today at New York's Belmont Stakes. For the 30th year in a row, there will be no Triple Crown winner after heavy favorite Big Brown came up short in the grueling third leg of the Crown and lost out to Datara. Dr. Debbie Turner is there.
And Big Brown is plummeting.
In one of the most stunning upsets in racing history, Big Brown's bid for immortality was left in the dust at Belmont Park, and the racing world will have to wait again for its next Triple Crown champion. A sunsplash crowd of more than 100,000 hope to witness one of the all-time greats take his spot among racing legends like Secretariat
Affirm's got a nose in front of him.
and Affirmed.
It's here to see Big Brown all the way.
For weeks now, his trainer also boldly proclaimed victory.
Big Brown bounding home.
Brown had never lost and was barely even challenged in his Derby and Preakness victories.
He waltzes home to win the Preakness.
It leaves jockey Kent DeSormo with another heartbreak. He lost a Triple Crown opportunity 10 years ago by a nose aboard Real Quiet.
It's too close to call!
After the death of 8 Bells at the Derby and recent concerns about steroid use on the track, the racing world needed a hero.
I do think the sport is at the tipping point right now, that they need to make sure their product is healthy horses. Because we've seen this at the New York Times time and again, where a hurt horse hits humanity.
The crowd here is stunned. You should see the disappointment and surprise. It seemed like Big Brown was doing what Kent always said that he would do. He'd hold him back in the pack and then let him surge at the end. He remained in third for most of the race, but as he came around the back curve and was heading down the final stretch, Kent pulled him up. He said the horse was not hurt. As far as we know, there's no lameness. He just said he had no horse. So he pulled him out of the race. Datara is the winner of the Belmont Stakes. Jeff?
Okay, Dr. Debbie Turner. Debbie, thank you. Tonight, the weather is causing big problems in 2 big parts of the country. On the East Coast, stifling heat from North Carolina to New England. The temperature hit a record-breaking 100 in Richmond, Virginia, and heat's not expected to back off for at least a couple days. A different problem, meanwhile, in the Midwest. Violent storms left 10 inches of rain behind in parts of Illinois and Indiana. The Coast Guard was called to rescue flooding victims. Just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a new classroom tool that's as easy as a remote control. But does it really help students learn? Students around the country are preparing for final exams this weekend. Some are using a new technology that will instantly tell their teachers what they've learned. Seth Doan has the story.
Come and get your numbered remotes.
In physics class at Great Neck South High School on Long Island, students aren't reaching for their pencils, they're reaching for their wireless clickers.
Enter in your choice, what you think the potential of this one plate is.
Now it's not just the front row that answers when teacher Matt Scaler tosses out a question. Everyone types in an answer, a computer counts them up, and shows just who's getting it right.
You're never sure if you're really reaching out to them. And by making sure that everybody's entering an answer, you know that kid's getting involved.
It's like you're under a time limit and it's kind of nerve-wracking, but then when you do it, you really get into the question, so it makes you more involved.
But some say the devices eat up class time.
I think that it helps to increase participation, but it kind of strays the lecture away from what you're actually teaching and more onto the device.
Despite that and the cost of more than $2,000 per classroom, some 4 million handheld devices are making their way into schools across the country.
The question number is in your display on the top.
These clickers are used for testing too.
I never took physics.
Though mastering the technology may be easier than the subject matter.
Students can enter in their multiple choice answers, and without having to do any grading, the teachers know right away how they did. How did I do?
You got one right, but by the laws of probability, you're supposed to get one right.
At Rutgers University, Professor Neil Shefflin will try almost anything to get his 400 students interested in economics.
Lowering interest rates. What do you think that does?
Here, clickers are required at a $40 cost to students.
With the clicker, you have to pay attention. You have no other choice.
Correct answers count for 10% of the grade, and Professor Shefflin calls them a technological revolution.
Yes, it helps students get more out of education, like it or not.
Exactly the kind of high marks manufacturers are hoping for. They expect the number of clickers in classrooms to double by 2009. Seth Doan, CBS News, Great Neck, New York.
Coming up on tonight's CBS Evening News, remembering legendary sportscaster Jim McKay.
Most important thing in his life was his family.
Thanks for being with us, and so long.
Finally tonight, legendary sportscaster Jim McKay died this morning. President Bush called McKay a talented and eloquent newsman and storyteller whose special gift was his ability to make the viewers at home genuinely care about more than just who won or lost. Armin Katayan now with this appreciation.
The Grand Prix of Monaco, and there they go. Sports in its unending variety, capturing the sight and sound.
He became one of the giants of journalism in the most unassuming of ways.
I'm Jim McKay.
From the start, words were Jim McKay's hallmark, written and offered in the same elegant, dignified manner of the man himself.
Arab terrorists armed with submachine guns, faces blackened.
His finest hours may well have been the 16 straight he put in anchoring ABC's coverage of the Black September terrorist attack on 11 Israeli athletes at the 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich.
The Israeli Olympic team is destroyed.
Before finally, in a moment of unparalleled grace, he confirmed our worst fears.
9 were killed at the airport tonight. They're all gone.
In a legendary 50-year career that literally spanned the globe,
I am going to try to hit a golf ball over the Great Wall of China.
McKay was a familiar and commanding presence during ABC's sports broadcasts, including 10 Olympic Games. The longtime host of Wide World of Sports, he reportedly ad-libbed the famous phrase in the opening sequence.
The thrill of victory, absolutely the best, and the agony of defeat.
One that went on to become one of the most oft-quoted lines in American life.
This is the most international field, as we said at the top, the Kentucky Derby has ever seen.
His favorite sport was that of kings. Fitting that on a Triple Crown Saturday at Belmont Park, those he touched and inspired mourned his passing.
He was a gentle, caring man. He understood the stories were bigger than the broadcasters, and he was simply a giant of our industry.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay, speaking to you.
Jim McKay, born James Kenneth McManus, began his television career in 1947 as the first on-air broadcaster in Baltimore. He would go on to win 13 Emmy Awards before retiring to horse country in Maryland. He is survived by his beloved wife, Margaret, a daughter, Mary, and son, Sean, the president of CBS News and Sports, who today said this about his father. There are not many men who achieved what Jim McKay achieved, both professionally and personally. However, with all his achievements, the most important thing in his life was his family.
Thanks for being with us, and so long.
Jim McKay was 86. That is the CBS Evening News tonight. I'm Jeff Glor, CBS News, New York. Good night.
CBS News, experience you can trust.